क्या आपने कभी सोचा बच्चों की तालीम पर लाखों रुपए खर्च करने के बाद भी अक्सर वालिदैन ये शिकवा क्यों करते हैं कि बच्चे उनका अदब नहीं करते? उसकी वजह यह है कि ज़िंदगी गुजारने के तौर तरीके तो निसाब में शामिल ही नहीं। अगर आप हज़ारों रुपए माहाना स्कूल फ़ीस जमा करवा कर भी अपने बच्चे की तरबियत से मुतमिन नहीं हैं, और अगर आप किसी ऐसी किताब की तलाश में हैं जिसे पढ़कर आपका बच्चा सादतमंद बन जाए, तो अपने बच्चे को अब्दुस्तार मिनहाजियन की किताब 63 आदाब ज़िंदगी तोहफ़ा में दें, ताकि वो ज़िंदगी के 63 मुख्तलिफ़ पहलुओं के आदाब जान सके। बड़े साइज़ के 304 सफ़ात पर मुश्तमिल हार्ड बाइंडिंग के साथ किताब की असल कीमत 1500 रुपये है, जबकि इस चैनल की विसातत से खुसूसी डिस्काउंट के साथ घर बैठे सिर्फ 1200 रुपये में हासिल करने के लिए व्हाट्सएप नंबर 0327181779 पर रब्ता फरमाएं। नंबर दोबारा नोट कर लीजिए, 0327181779
The term comedy was applied to any literary work that has a happy ending and a style less exalted than that ascribed to tragedy. Hence, Dante Alighieri's great work was named Divina Commedia, even though it does not make particular use of humor. In England, it was in Chaucer's Night in the Canterbury Tale we find the medieval conception of comedy, when he describes a person climbing out of misfortune to prosperity to the gladsome. This conception was endorsed by Lydgate in his Chronicles of Troy, 1430. A comedy hath in his gainage a prime face, a man complainage, and afterward endeth in gladness. However, comedy in Middle Ages was a poem which had a sad beginning and a happy ending. During the Renaissance, the concept of comedy as a change from sadness to gladness, reformative, not merely a description. The Renaissance concept is found in Philip Sidney's Apologies of Poetry. Apology of Poetry, and George Putnam's The Art of English Poesy, 1589. Sidney says that comedy is an imitation of the common errors of life, which he represented in the most ridiculous and scornful sort that may be, so that it is possible that any beholder can be content to be such a one. So in the action of our life, who seeth not the filthiness of evil, wanted a great foil to perceive the beauty of virtue. This doth the comedy handle so in our private and domestical matters, so with hearing it we get as it were an experience what is to be looked for. Cudden, 151. On the other hand, Putnam wrote but commonly of merchants, soldiers, artificer, good honest householder, and also of unthrifty youths, young damsel, old nurses, bawds, brokers, ruffians, and parasites, and such like, in whose behaviors lieth in effect the whole course and trade of man's life, and therefore tender altogether to the good amendment of man by discipline and example, it was also much for the solace and recreation of the common people by reason of the pageants and shoes. And this kind of poem was called comedy. Cudden 151 page number. The comedies of the Tudor and Jacobean periods were corrective and moral. The first English dramatic comedy according to Cudden is Ralph Roister Doister 1553 by Nicholas Odalt or Nicholas Odalt. It was premature, and it took 40 years that comedy became the attention of the playwrights and developed into a popular form of drama. However, comedy at this time consisted of interludes, which were a popular form of entertainment. The two major dramatists who wrote comedy during the periods 1590 to 1630 were Shakespeare's 1554 to 1616 and Ben Jonson 1573 to 1637. Shakespeare wrote almost every kind of comedy except the satirical comedy. Jonson hardly wrote any that was not satirical. Cudden 151. Shakespeare's early experiments were the comedy of errors. Century 1590, the Taming of the Shrew 1594, a farcical comedy much of which is in prose, and the Two Gentlemen of Verona 1594 and 95, and Love's Labour Lost 1595, both of which could be described with reservation as romantic comedies. These be followed with a Midsummer Night's Dream 1595 to 96, which is certainly a romantic comedy, and The Merchant of Venice 1596, a play which revealed darker and somber elements while yet possessing a strong romantic theme. Shakespeare's next comedy was Much Ado About Nothing 1598-1599, which might well be classified as comedy of manner. As You Like It's followed Much Ado, and this was another romantic comedy influenced by pastoral drama. The Merry Wives of Windsor 16 to 1601 is in many ways a light thread comedy, while 12th Night 16 to 1601 or 1601 and The Tempest 1611 are perhaps Shakespeare's finest example of romantic comedy. Though they possess elements of sadness and even bitterness, Shakespeare's other plays, which have been classified comedies, all contain darkened qualities and sometimes a measure of acerbity, which make them difficult to categorize. They might be described as black comedy or tragic comedy. Renaissance theory about the nature and the functions of comedy are exemplified in Ben Jonson's practice of comedy, who, according to Cudden, drew upon the medieval technique of humor. In his early comedy of humor, he was interested in exposing the vice and foibles of the contemporary society. Sidney's theory of comedy, which is based on his discussion on delight and laughter in his apology of poetry, may also be included in Renaissance theory. The comedian think there is no delight without laughter, which is very wrong, for though laughter may come with delight, yet cometh it not with delight, as though delight should be the cause of laughter. But well may one thing breed both together, may rather in themselves they have as it were a kind of contrariety. For delight we scarcely do, but in things that have a conveniency to ourselves or to the general nature. Laughter almost even cometh of things most disproportional to ourselves and nature. Delight hath a journey in it, either permanent or present. Laughter hath only a scornful tickling. For example, we are ravished with at deformed creatures, wherein certainly we cannot delight, yet deny. I not, but that they may go well together. But I speak to this purpose, that all the end of the comical part be not upon such scornful matter as stirreth laughter. Columns 54 and page number 55. According to Sydney, proper aim of comedy is to afford delight, teaching, not course and amusement. Ben Jonson says of comedy, nor is the moving of laughter always the end of comedy, that is rather a falling for the people's delight, or their falling. For as Aristotle said rightly, the moving the moving of laughter is a fault in comedy, a kind of torpid that moves laughter, or a deformed wizard, or a rude clown dress in a lady's habit and using her action. We dislikes and scorn such representation, which made the ancient philosophers ever think laughter unfitting in a wise man, as also it is divinely said of Aristotle that to seem ridiculous is a part of dishonesty and foolish.
क्या आपने कभी सोचा, बच्चों की तालीम पर लाखों रुपए खर्च करने के बाद भी अक्सर वालिदैन ये शिकवा क्यों करते हैं कि बच्चे उनका अदब नहीं करते? उसकी वजह यह है कि ज़िंदगी गुजारने के तौर तरीके तो निसाब में शामिल ही नहीं। अगर आप हज़ारों रुपए माहाना स्कूल फ़ीस जमा करवा कर भी अपने बच्चे की तरबियत से मुतमईन नहीं हैं, और अगर आप किसी ऐसी किताब की तलाश में हैं जिसे पढ़कर आपका बच्चा सादतमंद बन जाए, तो अपने बच्चे को अब्दुस्तार मिनहाजियन की किताब 63 आदाब ज़िंदगी तोहफ़ा में दें, ताकि वो ज़िंदगी के 63 मुख्तलिफ़ पहलुओं के आदाब जान सके। बड़े साइज़ के 304 सफ़ात पर मुश्तमिल हार्ड बाइंडिंग के साथ किताब की असल कीमत 1500 रुपये है, जबकि इस चैनल की विसातत से खुसूसी डिस्काउंट के साथ घर बैठे सिर्फ 1200 रुपये में हासिल करने के लिए व्हाट्सएप नंबर 0327181779 पर रब्ता फरमाएं। नंबर दोबारा नोट कर लीजिए, 0327181779